think I should be good there. Yes. We never know. Yeah, no, I don't. Aside from my notes and any like observations that I definitely want to talk about, I just like I internalize all of it. I sit there just like this for like hours on end. Yeah, that's it. That's it. The pregame is the alcohol, but I went over to Legion before this, just to drop in out of muscle memory more than anything else, and that's the place I do trivia on Thursdays. But we didn't do trivia tonight. But I did have drink. But I did have drinks. Yes, let's do it. It's tenuous link at best. Watch, I'll come back in like 3 weeks, and then I'll come back 6 months from then, and then just keep when the elasticity is stressed to its peak, I come jumping back in. If this episode is any indication, Tony Todd. No, the late Tony Todd. Yeah, he passed away like I think last year, maybe. Yeah, yeah, it is sad. Because it's week 3, we'll be down to a quarter next week. Right, we're really piling them in. We're really, really packing these in. We've watched 3 episodes of Star Trek in like a week. I think yeah, we're really they look like the rantings of a lunatic. It's like if the guy out on the street corner yelling at cars had a notebook. This is what it would look like. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy. Oh wow, did you? Wow. Good. Nate messaged me late last night and said simply, "Flashbacks aren't time travel," and then within seconds said, "Never mind." And if you've seen the episode we're talking about tonight, you know exactly what he was getting at prematurely. The Visitor. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna stick to water for a while tonight at least. Yeah. All right. In the form of the olives. Okay. All right. Good. 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 Wait. I'm sorry. What? With the pimento inside of them. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I thought you meant like maybe they were sliced or something, and I'm like, you're gonna eat those with your like fingers, like getting them fingers down in that jar, nice and briny. Okay. You got the olive fork. Yeah. The one with it's like monogrammed. That'd be great. A monogrammed olive fork. Okay. I mean, yeah, I feel like you'd get a little bit of pushback on that, but it's really just people just determine like whether they prefer DS9 or TNG. Those are the two camps, right? And nobody out there is advocating for like Discovery being the best Star Trek series. Nobody's out there is doing that. Okay. They do some time traveling on Discovery, for sure. Nate in previous episodes is like, we'll do whatever you request. Just send in your request. Not that one. Kay thinks no. Well, look, uh, DS9. Had you seen this episode before, Nate? Yeah, sure. It's not like every minute of it is infused in your brain, right? Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of holes in DS9 for me, just memory wise too. I don't think I've seen this episode since it originally aired. Uh huh. Right. Yeah. 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 I think there's a little bit less to keep up with on TNG too in terms of like the timeline. Yeah, it's not like continuity driven, right? Like you could pick up any episode of TNG and watch it and pretty much follow it, whereas DS9 gradually gets to a point where you don't want to miss anything, or you're going to feel like you're a little bit behind. Yeah. 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 All right. Uh Yeah, this is season 4. This is the second episode of season 4. It's interesting because Paramount Plus has it listed as episode 3 of season 4, but it's episode 2. It's the second episode of the season. Um, so this original air date was October 9th of 1995. Written by Michael Taylor, who wrote the episodes Things Past, Resurrection, and the classic episode In the Pale Moonlight. Directed by David Livingston, who directed 62 episodes of Star Trek, from TNG all the way through to Enterprise, and was supervising producer for those series as well. I mentioned it a second ago. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Frakes didn't direct 62 episodes of... I don't think he's directed 62 episodes of Star Trek. This episode guest stars Tony effing Todd as Jake the Snake Sisko, or Old Man Sisko, as we might refer to him moving forward here. On a stormy night in Louisiana, an elderly Jake Sisko is visited by an aspiring writer named Melanie. A fan of his 2 published books, Melanie has come to him to find out why he stopped writing at age 40. While he admits he might have at one time been hesitant to share his personal story, this particular moment might be the best and last time to explain what happened to him at 18 when he saw his father die. Dun dun dun. Now, this is all before the opening titles, and we know who his dad is, right? So it's like, oh, what's this all about? Yeah. The incident occurs aboard the USS Defiant after Benjamin Sisko drags his son into the Bajoran wormhole to watch a rare subspace inversion. And Jake is really all like, but Dad, I just want to sit here and write. You know, it's the eternal teenager struggle, and the struggle that fathers face as well. When a warp coil feedback loop threatens to destroy the ship, Sisko narrowly avoids catastrophe, but not before he is zapped by a stray energy bolt and disappears. Returning to Deep Space Nine, Jake mourns the loss of his father as his friends and surrogate family do their best to preserve peace among the Bajorans, the Cardassians, and the Klingons. One night, 6 months after his disappearance, Jake awakens to see his father sitting on his bedroom floor, disoriented. Ben Sisko soon vanishes, and Jake dismisses the incident as a dream. Months later, Ben reappears. Not only does Jake realize he isn't dreaming, but now the DS9 crew knows that the warp core discharge pulled Ben into subspace. The problem, it keeps pulling him back, and there seems to be no way to stop it. Over the ensuing years, the Deep Space Nine... Over the ensuing years, as Deep Space Nine enters a period of Klingon occupation, Jake returns to Earth and attends college. He marries. He writes books. And occasionally, he is revisited by his father for a few fleeting moments. Carrying the guilt that incident was somehow his fault and obsessed with finding a way to bring his father back, Jake returns to school to pursue a doctorate in subspace mechanics. His marriage ends. He stops writing. But in time, his studies lead him to a possible solution and the hope that just maybe he and Ben can get a second chance. That's where I'm ending it. Now we get the dubious... we are faced with the dubious task of talking about this episode without getting misty. it rings different, and I mentioned it. Like, I don't think I've seen this episode since it originally aired, and the reason I bring that up is because, however I felt about it then, which I don't recall, I was like, this episode's not going to get me. You're not going to. It's not going to do it. Come on. I get where this is going. I understand. I'm watching it analytically and critically. You're not going to get me. The fuck it didn't. That last scene between old man Jake and Ben Sisko is just one for the ages, man. Okay. Uh huh. You know what I feel like this is? My first thought after watching it was that this was DS9's answer to the Inner Light. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. It's just that, like, you're seeing what's going on there, and then the lifetime Picard is living in the span of like 40 minutes is like, once you rejoin him, that's how much farther along he is. Right? Like, the episode essentially takes place in real time, but Picard's experiencing time at a rate that's faster than the relative speed of time on the Enterprise, right? Exactly. These are big jumps in time. It's not like, he went to eat lunch and then, like, he's coming out of the restaurant. Yeah, other than Jake and Melanie talking. Yeah. Yeah. Right, something went wrong. It's kind of like last week's episode where Guinan's like, this is wrong, this isn't right. And Jake has that same feeling, although it's born from the guilt that he just carries with him over the years. Right? The guilt that his dad is still out there, the guilt that he was somehow responsible for what happened, and the guilt that he feels in not being able to get him back. Sure. Sure. Sure, and eventually that stops, right? And his life becomes completely defined by finding his dad. But yeah, I think you're really onto something there. And when you lose a loved one, I have not lost a parent yet. But Jacqueline has lost both of her parents. And the healing process there, it feels a lot like this. Even though your deceased parent isn't flashing back into your life for seconds at a time, that memory comes back, and all of a sudden there is this sense of guilt, like I'm not thinking about you every day anymore, you know, and it kind of pings, and I think this is like the literal physical manifestation of exactly that sort of feeling, and I think it's the sort of Star Trek story that Deep Space Nine is uniquely poised to tell, because there's not another Star Trek series about a father and a son, you know. Worf and Alexander, or like or Beverly Crusher and Wesley, you know, there are other relationships like that, but I think that so much of who Ben Sisko is tied up in Jake from the pilot episode on in this show. Like he is a father to Jake, and he recognizes this, and he never lets it go. Right? Geez, I think the first time you meet them, aren't they on like the holodeck on the Enterprise D? In the pilot episode, they're like just like throwing rocks into a pond or something, right? They're having this. That's right. That's what it is. I thought it was when they were arriving. They were on a holodeck and they were arriving at the space station in the emissary. Yeah, because Picard was in the pilot. I would bet my bottom dollar it was the Enterprise D that dropped Sisko off on DS9 in the pilot. I think it is, but yeah. Okay, yeah. No, I'm getting the Snickers this time, bucko. It's me. It's Brian's turn. Yeah. I do not need more candy this week, guys. Have you seen the Reese's? They have the Oreo X Reese's mashups now, where they have the Oreos with the Reese's peanut butter filling, but they also have the Reese's with the Oreo cookies inside of them. Anyway, I found a whole bag of those bad boys, and I was like, why not? Just take the plunge, you know? And I've got them sitting in my desk at work, and I should not have done that. Because now whenever I just like during the day, I'm like, boy, I could really go for one of those Reese's. And it's like if I were an 80s businessman and I had cocaine in my desk. That's what it's like. Yeah, Hans, Bubby, I'm your white knight. But back to role models and sons. That's what it was. Only after the episode ended that I was like, yeah, this really does feel like The Inner Light, but I don't feel like this episode was designed with that in mind necessarily, first and foremost. I don't think they were like, we gotta do another Inner Light, guys. We need another hit, you know? Yeah. You could just kind of settle in and let the story happen, and let Jake be Jake. Yeah. You don't think so? Because, well, the visitor, because Melanie visits him, but who's the real the visitor is Ben, right? Like I think it's like, look, there's probably a better title out there, but I mean, it's fine. It's fine as a title. I don't know what else you'd call it. Like, yeah. What we call it, Daddy's Home. Body by Jake. Oh, body. No, Bodies by Jake. That's what you call it. You remember Body by Jake? You remember that guy? A joke that predates DS9's premiere, I think, probably. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. What did you think of it? All right, so first time around, you're like, I seen the inner light, buddy, and you're no inner light. And then the second time around, you kind of just let it happen. Obviously, I mean, you mentioned it. I mentioned it. Being a father, you come into this episode and you probably walk away feeling a little bit different, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell me what you've been doing. Tell me as much as you can. And Jake is only like, I've got to go. We've got to get scientists here. We've got to do whatever we can to keep you here. And he's like, Jake, don't worry about that. Tell me about this wife of yours. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I've got a better Picard than I've got a Cisco. I got to be honest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure, it's a formative event. Of course, Jake's going to hold on to it. And it's almost like, he gets to a point on DS9 where he's almost learned to live with things the way they are. And I don't mean after he sees Ben for the first time, because he kind of chalks that up to being like a dream. But when Ben shows up again, uh, and Jake is talking because they have to leave DS9, right? Like Kira's trying to talk him into departing the station. Um, and Jake's like, this is all I have left of my dad. Like once I leave here, my connection to him is gone. You know, uh, and I think it's the turn is when he does promo photo. Yeah, the signed 8 by the Avery Brooks signed 8 by 10 to Ciroc, Best wishes, Avery Brooks. And what did you say your name was again? I'm on the show with you, sir. that is pretty good. It is. It's cool. It's the episode opens with that pan over the shelf, right? So it sets you up for what you're about to see immediately. Yeah, yeah. I think the opening of the show is again very arresting. I don't think you could watch that promo and not want to come back after the first commercial break, right? Like the allusion to Sisko dying. Like, hey, everything was fine last week, guys, and now Jake is an old man and Sisko's dead. What's going on? But Star Trek was always really good at that. Yeah. That plays Melanie. She wasn't in very much. Her name is Rachel Robinson. She Yeah, she was in just a handful of things. Well, I think that that it is worth noting that her father is Andrew Robinson, who is famously Nate Garrick. He plays Garrick on Deep Space Nine. You fool. Yeah. So yeah, Rachel Robinson is the daughter of Garrick actor Andrew Robinson. She was she was on an episode of ER. She was on an episode of Judging Amy. I mean, she really hasn't been on much, but she was up for the role of Esri Dax when that time came around, but did not get that role. So, but that's who she is, and yes, and I was kind of surprised that she hasn't been in more, honestly, because I think she's pretty good in this. She does a lot of like emoting with her face. Like there's a lot of what I like to call face acting in this in this show. The thing that strikes me in the scenes between Old Man Jake and Melanie is that, and this is just because it's shot for TV, this is how TV is filmed, but it is noticeable because they're in such a cozy environment that the two of them sit awfully fucking close to each other the whole time. Like, they are within 3 inches of each other at every interval. Yeah. And if I didn't know Jake better, I'd think that, well, maybe yeah, that's true. He is definitely an old man by the end of this. But that's all to say, I liked the setup. I liked this girl seeking him out. It had sort of like that vibe, like a notoriously like reclusive author, like J.D. Salinger or somebody, and like people make the treks to his house and things like that. That's what it reminded me of. Like, this is something that really, really happens, and for Jake to be open to having a visitor of that sort, I mean, it's the future, I guess. But he's also not as like recognized or prolific, right? Like, he wrote 2 books, and that was pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Look, I was thinking about this. I was internalizing it as it was happening, and I'm like, okay, so he stops writing at 40 and goes back to school. I mean, we're in our 40s, right? I can't imagine myself just cold turkey stopping everything in my life and going back to school for a degree in science. like cellular biology or something like that. You know what? Instead, I think I'm doing cellular biology. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah. And then they'll say, "Look, there goes Dr. Brian." That's what they'll say to me. They'll tip their hat and say, "Hey, how are you, Dr. Brian? Finally, I'll be somebody." This one problem. Yeah. Yeah. Like day one, he goes into class and he, does anybody have any questions before we get started? Yes, you there. The old man. Yes, the old man in the front row. When are we going to learn about subspace inversions? Hypothetical. Let's say I know a guy who's trapped in a subspace inversion. My buddy has a friend who owes him money and is trapped in a subspace inversion. How's he going to go about getting his money? I would agree with that. As somebody who is virtually talentless, I would agree. Fun one day. Wow. That's yeah. There's no wrong choice there. It's just yeah, you I get what you're saying. I mean, okay, so one, you really won the lottery, and the other one, you're drawing funny books. But like, but but I get what you're saying. Like the point is that you there is something to be said for having a natural tendency towards something. It's not a, I hesitate to call it a talent because I think talents are developed, but a tendency towards something is where it starts, right? Sure. Correct. Yeah, I feel safe, comfortable saying that. We go in and it's like, 7 years later, it come out and it's like, nope, still don't fucking get it. Jesus Christ. And where is Corinna? Oh, yeah, about her. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The lady killer. Yeah. Which, I mean, he was right. I mean, right, quote unquote, by the end. Do you mean in terms of the theorizing about how to get him back and why he disappeared to begin with? Like, there's a lot of questions, and they're throwing a lot of technobabble around. And normally, the technobabble is it's like there's a term and it's describing an observable thing that we're seeing, and we're just like, oh, okay. But here it's like even the characters don't seem to know what the technobabble means. Right? Like it's like they're just kind of throwing words out and they're like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And we're like, none of that makes any sense to me. Does somebody want to just explain why? Yeah. Uh huh. I think the show does eventually land on something that makes sense with the description of the elastic band. We don't understand why it's happening. It's just like if I wanted to apply any sort of scientific anything to it, I would just say that those two were occupying the same space when the incident happened, and that's why they're linked. But the show would have you believe more that it's like they're linked because it's a father and son story, right? Which for narratively, that's the reason this exists anyway. But they're just kind of finding a way to explain it, just in a way that, as you say, visually makes sense as a means to tell their story, tell the story they're trying to tell. Yeah, because the idea is that Jake, while his dad has been stuck in subspace, Jake has continued moving forward in time, and occasionally the the sort of like theoretical elasticity between his dad in subspace and him eventually goes taut, and Ben comes jumping back into whatever era Jake is in, right? Because for Ben, it's just a momentary jump, step by step by step. You know, Ben's life over the course of Jake's life ends up being, I don't know, like 30 or 40 minutes, right? Like he's not experiencing very much time at all. Um, sure. Right. Okay. I don't know if that, I don't know if that would work better. Like I think it works okay because we find out when he finds out in old age, he's got this theory, this is the last thing I'm going to try. And, you know, he shares that with us, and the way it's explained, it's like, okay, well, this makes sense based on how you're explaining it. Like, I don't know if just being like, well, here goes nothing would resonate in quite the same way. Because Jake dies convinced he's saving his dad, and he's right, you know? Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. Like, why even do that? Like, he could have come up with something just as inventive if he just stuck to being an author. You know? Like, what if I were writing this? Oh wow. It's like our podcast version of the gloves are off. So oh, you have a whole the jar of the regular ones. There we go. There's that pop sound. Um I do think I do want to talk a little bit about Jake as the narrator of this episode. Um cuz like when and maybe it's just me. There were a lot of opportunities I could see to like embellish the story or like do something kind of silly with a character. It's not that kind of episode, but that's exactly how I would run it. You know that X-Files episode with we've talked about it before with Luke Wilson in it, where like Scully has him as this dashing handsome guy and Mulder remembers him as that guy with the bad teeth. You know, stuff like that. But the one thing that did stand out to me in this episode is how big a role Morn plays in the narrative. Like Jake keeps talking about like Morn has the bar. Let's go visit Morn. And then the first thing I noticed was when they're having the memorial service on Deep Space Nine for Benjamin Sisko. It's like panning across the main cast of the show. You know, Bashir is there, Dax is there, Quark is there, Morn is there, Jake is there, Kira's there, and I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Can we what is Morn doing here standing with you guys? Like, how did he get this primo spot at the funeral, you know? That's the funny thing though. It's like, so Jake is like, so I noticed that. I'm like, that seems weird that Morn would just be in with the like the command crew of the DS9. And then like it's like, hey, guess who owns the bar? Morn. And like, hey, we should go, you know who we should go see while we're here? Morn. It's like it just keeps bringing up Morn over and over again. And I want to think like when old Jake is sitting there telling this story to Melanie, he keeps bringing up Morn and she's got to be like, the fuck is Morn? like who the fuck is this guy? You keep talking about your dad. Sounds, oh yeah, it's an inversion of Norm from Cheers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a great character, but I'm just like, it's really funny that Jake is clearly as a narrator in this story just made Morn such a critical part of the background. Sure. I want to believe as the nighttime transitions to day, because they sit up all night talking, right? I want to think that like most of that was him talking about Morn. Yes. Yeah. Sure. Sure. I think, but I mean, all kidding aside, I think that the narration works in both ways just enough that we know what's going on, and it just like the framing device of this whole episode makes sense. You know? Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's only in the first 15 minutes or so. Yeah. 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 Well, think. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah. Here's I going back to what I think I brought to this episode, what perhaps you did as well, and kind of contextualizing it with what you're talking about. If Wesley Crusher and Jake Sisko existed to to create a character that kids could latch onto, kids like teenagers who are watching these shows could kind of see themselves in, I was never interested in that. As a teenager watching TNG or DS9, I always was like, okay, I like Data and I like Picard and I like Miles O'Brien, and like these are the characters I'm latching onto. I always just rushed past the kids, and now coming at this and watching this episode specifically, uh, I was like, maybe Jake wasn't on there for us. Maybe Jake was on there for dads to see themselves reflected in Sisko, right? Because that worked for me this time. Like that really, really clicked. Um, so I don't know. Like I like you found a new appreciation for Jake Sisko in this episode. Wesley was for the trolls, just pure troll food. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I watched the. That's why the only movies I watch now are Bucket List and The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. It was a little bit older. Just- oh, yeah. Look at this goopy dude, man. I think all kidding aside, what I was actually interested in was Jadzia Dax. We already know that. Yeah, we've made that very very clear. I don't think any of the time travel episodes do that. Yeah, once again, not on the station in this episode. It's cool. It's really really cool. Yeah. And unique, and it gave them a chance to break the monotony of the sterile Starfleet design that we had become so familiar with, even though it was just like TNG at that point. But there were movies. There was the original series. There were a series of movies. There was TNG. You come to expect Starfleet to look and feel a certain way, and then here comes this completely different design aesthetic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just enough. Quark gets a really nice scene. He has a nice moment there when he kind of, you see Quark's kind of humanity, I guess, or good side, you know. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Kind of in the same way, like he wants to be. He fancies himself a better Ferengi, kind of the same way Worf really wants to be a better Klingon, but he's just kind of, you know. Yeah, sure. Not when there's money on the table, but I think it speaks to just like after Ben Sisko's death or apparent death, it's like Dax is kind of his primary caregiver. It's suggested, you know, but like everyone on DS9 is looking out for Jake. Like it really is like a community of people, and even somebody as self-serving and self-dealing as Quark like respects Cisco enough to be like, no, his son needs companionship right now more than anything, and that companionship's more important than you know, gold press latinum this afternoon. Yeah. Yeah, and this episode is pretty efficient in how it demonstrates that. Like, even if you don't know what he's done up to this point, you do see the effects of what happens when he's suddenly pulled out of the equation, right? Um, yeah, yeah, strengthening a character like that, like, because you're carrying that into the future. Like, this isn't what you've known to be true about him; it's what you will know to be true about him in future episodes and future seasons. And like, to be able to strengthen his character like that when he's not even on screen. So when you see him again, it's like, wow, this guy's really important to what's going to happen on this show. Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. That's business Cisco. That's right. Yeah. I'm going to go get some more water real quick. Okay. So, well, unless you've got something, I do have something to kind of build off that. So, talking of like the support team that Jake has, Nog is kind of the character that has the biggest role in this episode, which kind of makes sense. They're childhood friends, but I will admit I do not know much about the physiology of Ferengi, but it is a little distracting that like Aaron Eisenberg continues playing Nog through adulthood. He's always like 4 feet tall, like, and he's always just Nog. He becomes a Starfleet captain. He's still just Nog, you know. Like, I thought it was kind of, again, I don't know much about Ferengi aging. Yes, yes, but the answer's no. Maybe he's a dwarf Ferengi. He is a tiny dude. Oh, I love Nog. I love Nog as a character. If you want to talk, If you want to talk a character, like if you wanted me to latch on to one of the kid characters on this show, Nog was the one I was probably going to latch on to, because he was like really enthusiastic and just like he was being exposed to a side of the universe he had never seen, i.e., his whole culture is driven by greed and consumption, right? And here, once the Starfleet occupation of DS9 starts, that's like a whole new world has opened to him, you know? Um, yeah, correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who, Rom or Nog? Neither one of them ever did, no. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Right. And they pull the Defiant out of mothballs in an attempt to replicate the accident. And yeah, Nog is captaining the Defiant, and Bashir and Dax are there. Yeah, yeah, not the best. Look, Dax could still get it. Look, if I'm being honest, Bashir could still get it. Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what did it for Bashir is the he became like a silver fox. You know. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and this is what we're seeing. The time we're spending on the Defiant is 50 years after the initial inciting incident. So who knows how much farther technology has come in 50 years. Yeah. But they're clearly not. Like Bashir has kids, but they're not with her. Probably do. They probably still do. It felt like absolutely when the conversation starts, I'm like, oh, so they're together, and then it's like, oh, so they're not together. Okay. Yeah, yeah, Well, I think it's just they're obviously still very close. You know. Um, yeah. Hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yes, like the Bajorans and the Cardassians entered into an agreement against the Klingons. I don't think so. Look, and maybe again, maybe I'm missing something, maybe I've forgotten something, but no, I don't think so. And I think that that was just another thing that's like, look at how crazy things went once Cisco was out of the picture. Right, cuz you like the whole Bajoran belief system collapsed after Cisco was gone, you know? Um yeah, yeah. So once he was gone, they just like they were completely rudderless at that point. Yeah. Yeah. The Dominion. Yeah. Dominion. Like Dough. They do. Yeah. Really parsing out those syllables. I like that though. Yeah, I do like that. Let's see. This is when yeah, okay, I think I know what you're getting at here. I don't remember what they were celebrating specifically, but they had a very nice dinner on deck. Perfectly perfectly good slugs. But the best part, the best part is like Corinna's response to him, which is, "I suppose you're going to ask me to chew your food for you," and Nog's response to that, "I have to admit I've been more popular with women since I stopped asking them to do that," is that is great. But yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, sell the movie rights. That's pretty great. Yeah, you can you can take the nog out of the Ferengi, but you can't take the Ferengi out of the nog. So I think we definitely need to talk about the end. Okay, yeah. So let's hit those. No, no, no. Oh, so that's yeah. That's a little bit later on. Yeah. Oh gosh, no. It was season one or season two where he started developing an interest in it. Yeah, where it became like a plot point. And I'm not going to say it was like a big. There was no episode that was like, Jake wants to be a writer and that's your A plot. Like um no, but it was like, and that's what these Star Trek shows did so gracefully a lot of times, is that they added these elements and these very human interests in that. Oh well, hey, Riker likes to play trombone, how about that? Like, they just layer it in there, and it just sort of deepens the character. And I think that Jake's writing, even though it was like specifically singled out and pointed out, it became that sort of thing. It was just sort of like background noise. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yoga. Yeah. 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 Trombone. Trombone. Yeah. I pass. Creates holodeck programs um that are going to get him me too. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Crusher ghost fucking. That's her big thing. Yeah, just something that was always happening in the background. So, but it's neat that you see that come to fruition in such an important way. Um, when he's portrayed as an adult in this episode, like that becomes such a driving force for him, and the episode, yeah, yeah. Maybe one day Melanie will show up at your doorstep. You could do worse. Definitely do worse. Can it be the same one? Oh yeah, no, it's the same one from this episode. There's some really great lines that old Jake gets in this episode about writing and about his life. There's that one where he jokes, like Melanie's looking at the stack of unpublished works on his desk, and he says, "If you publish posthumously, no one can ask you for rewrites." That's great. That's cool. Um, Yeah. Yeah, his parting words for Melanie at the end. Like, you poke your head up once in a while and take a look around. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's see what's going on. It's life, Melanie, and you can miss it if you don't open your eyes. Yeah. It's the same. It echoes the exact same thing that Sisko told him as a young man in the wormhole. And you got to think, like, God, man, when I was a kid, vacation only ever meant two things. It meant going camping in the mountains or going to see my family in Maryland. And those are the only things that it meant. Ever. And so I understand exactly how Jake feels in this episode when his dad comes in and is like, "Come on, Jake, let's go look at the wormhole for the 500th time." And all Jake wants to do is write. I am with him. Who gives a shit? Like, yeah. Ben is like, "You watch this. This is good. You're gonna like this part." You know what would be great is if you saw the wormhole and it was open and swirling, but then it just sort of sucked inward and was like, and then it just popped back out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they get to see it. Because all that. It's very dangerous. Yeah, yeah, right. That's true. Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, there are records of. Yeah, I mean, nobody knew that the wormhole was there. Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Oh, sure. It's like the same way we like determine the age of the universe or something like that, or that's why Jake went back to school, Nate. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I don't see subspace as a major. Oh, another one of you guys. Go, go write your novel, clown. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's like they mad libbed it. You know? Yeah, or they have that the refrigerator poetry. Maybe they have refrigerator like techno babble magnets and they just pull it out. Doom 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 doom. There it is, guys. Subspace inversion, wormhole, warp core. I actually would. Now that I've said it out loud, that sounds pretty great. Okay, well, and I definitely want to talk about the last scene between Ben and Jake also. Melanie's bag. Okay. All right, let's talk about Melanie's bag. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's like she got it at Urban Outfitters and just. It's not a future bag. That's a bag of holding. Oh man, in Family, yeah, that was a dumb bag. Yeah, it looked like vaguely militaristic, like it's the sort of thing that a future army guy would bring home with just the basic essentials in it. Yeah. Yeah. Like, hey, wait, that's a normal bag. Maybe like maybe 50 years from that, society was like, guys, we made a mistake with the cylinder thing. Let's go back to just normal bags, can we? Yeah. Yeah. It's her bag. I'm glad we brought up Melanie's bag. I am. Well, this is just what comes from being able to watch it twice. The all bag cut. The first thing I noticed about Melanie was not the bag. Um, yeah, but I mean, like, creepy in that fangirly kind of way. Like, that's just never going to change. Like, she's going to break his legs and make him write another novel. You don't have to break my legs. I'm going to be dead in 8 hours. The one thing I will say that's funny. That's one thing that's funny about Melanie taking all the manuscripts and leaving is that if Jake's right, she's never like that interaction's never going to happen, right? Because he's going to the timeline's going to readjust. So do you think he just like, oh, take everything with that, just take it all, sucker? I don't, I don't want to think about that too much because obviously the emotional weight of this episode is based on just experiencing it the way it's meant to be experienced and not thinking about the chronal like timeline implications of resetting it all. But what was that? Nate really wanted to dive into that. So I said at the beginning, like, that this episode's not going to get me. That last scene where Jake is dying in his dad's arms, that nailed me. You know, man, oh man. Oh yeah, yeah. It's how it starts. Yeah, Again, we talked about him last year being just such a tremendous actor on this show, and yeah, different side of him. Yes, yes, yeah, yes, right, yeah, 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 and that's their last interaction, like the last lines they share with each other, where he says, "Jake, you didn't have to do this, not for me." And Jake says, "For you and for the boy that I was. He needs you more than you know." Right? Man. So like they both have something to learn from each other, you know? There. It's like Sisko at the beginning, he's like, "Jake, stop writing. You're always got your nose down in those things. Like, come here, look at the wormhole, stuff like that." And it's an important lesson that Jake carries with him, but at the same time, you know, Cisco's a little bit maybe more, you know, accepting and just saying, like, "Jake, maybe do your own thing." I want to think that's where it happens. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and maybe Cisco's what he's getting at is that, yeah, don't sacrifice for you, don't sacrifice for me at the end. Yeah. You lost your wife? Poor Nog hasn't grown an inch since you guys were teenagers. You stunted Nog's growth. No. Yeah. It's just you can put yourself there. Like you I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I think that, like, you can subjectively, like, understand what's going on here and kind of put yourself emotionally there, but it does just ring so much different when you're thinking of it from your own perspective with your own child. Like the idea that, like, if 5 minutes from now I saw my child at age 16, and then 5 minutes after that I saw him at 25, and then 5 minutes after that I saw him at age 50, right? That's what's happening to Cisco here. Oh God. Yeah. 10 years. Oh, look, that's the last time I smiled for a picture. 15 years ago. Yeah. Right. Like you can it's easy to see it in reverse, but it's so much weirder to picture like god someday my kid is going to be an old man, right? And when Cisco's sitting there looking at Jake as old Tony Todd. Yeah. 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 So, it's a hard-hitting episode. I think it really it's on an emotional scale, I think it was really, really well executed. Oh, for sure, for sure. What are we? Flashbacks. Great job, Brian. Yeah, because it's not just like it's like a few things happening at the same time. So the term I came up with for this specific type of time travel is warp core discharge during subspace inversion of wormhole. Wormhole. Trapped in subspace. um oh, because trapped in subspace is what happens once you travel. The thing that sends you is this discharge. Let's just call it discharge. Yeah, yeah. um into subspace. Yeah, when they try to replicate it, when they try to replicate the experiment on the Defiant 50 years later. Yeah. Uh huh. Yep. Right. Like, how long has he been spending in this void? Right. And is he only experiencing it in a way that we can rationalize because Jake is there and they have to have a conversation? Yes, the answer is yes, narratively, but like but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying like when we don't see Ben and no one's with him, does he experience life in that void or is he just blinking from spot to spot, right? Yeah. What is he doing? He's just walking around, just wandering around in the void. Yeah. It does raise some questions for sure. I mean, you could say, I mean, like, obviously, Jake and Ben are not moving in a sort of uniform manner through time. And you could assume, based on what we're given in this episode, that Ben does spend some amount of time just in that void because because time has to pass for Jake before that quote unquote elastic band is pulled taut enough to propel Ben into the future. And then he's kind of pulled back to that void space. Right? So he spends some degree of time there. This time is passing, but it's not at a rate that's uniform with the passage of time in Jake's life. Yeah. Definitely. It's definitely just like the Winter Soldier. Um yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. you know? Yeah. Right? Sure. Well, we know so much more changed because we were told about it. You know? Yeah. Right. Yeah, but I mean, like, who, like, well, like, that world, I mean, like, Deep Space Nine changed a lot without him there, and the relation between the Bajorans and the Cardassians changed a lot without him there. But I mean, I think it's more about what happened to Bajor than it is anything else. Like, Earth, for all intents and purposes, is the same place with or without him. Like, I don't think that changed a lot. And there's no way to know there's no way really to know if Melanie didn't come back seeking Jake out in a different context at some point in the future. Wasn't it his grandfather's house? Or it was close to his grandfather. There was the Louisiana restaurant, the New Orleans restaurant. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Right, but the family has roots there, I guess. You know, like I mean, you can it's not so it's not so unrealistic to believe that some aspects of that future remain intact. Because Jake did follow his own trajectory for a while, like his likely trajectory. Like Corinna could easily be the person that he meets and marries one day. But right, it starts like a domino effect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I think that like you most of what you're talking about is kind of kept at arm's length. You know, as far as we hear that there was the conflict, the Klingons and the Cardassians and the Bajorans team up and all this stuff, but we don't really see any of that, right? What we see is that the people who leave the station, and it seems like Dax and Bashir had perfectly fine lives without that, but this whole geopolitical crisis is happening. Right. They'd be different in some way, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that yeah. I think that this episode benefits from not being told from the perspective of the time traveler himself. Right? Like the time travel is happening in the periphery as Jake kind of goes through his life. So we're getting a perspective we don't normally get. Like a lot of times what this sort of episode is told by like a character coming back in time and saying, if you don't survive X, Y, and Z happen, right? Like the Terminator, you know? And this is kind of the reverse of that, where it's like, okay, so my dad disappeared, and then these are the things that happen next without him. Like, that's not usually the instigating part of that story is the person coming back, but here it's what caps the story, right? Where order is kind of restored. He's just gonna not tell it. I don't know, man. I don't know if Sisko would tell him out of fear that like, you know, something could change. He would probably tell Dax. He'd probably tell Dax about it. Yeah. He'd probably tell Morn. Yeah, that's true. Fucking blabbermouth. Yeah. So as far as the time travel itself goes, like, call it what you want. The warp core discharge during subspace inversion of wormhole, we're just gonna call it discharge, and we're calling it discharge. No, we won't. Subspace inversion. Yeah. It's an interesting concept to have a character sort of tethered to another. You know, it kind of, yeah, quantum entanglement. We've seen it before, or a variation of it. Oh man, have we forgotten already? Hannah Carson. Yeah, Ben and Hannah, the time traveler's wife. You know, these two people just are sort of connected and they keep running into each other. But yeah, in a more of an intentional stalkery kind of way. But yeah, who was at fault in that movie? I don't remember, and I'm not going to revisit it. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough to describe. It's tough to rank. Um, is it rad? Yeah. I mean, a lot of them are accidents, right? Um, but okay, so let's think of like yeah, maybe. Yeah. And so I guess it's less about like what sends you through time, more it's more like about how that time travel functions, right? That kind of makes this different from other things. So okay. Well, I'm going to float something to you and then you tell me over or under. Because I think the closest thing on our list this year that bears similarities to this is the Aurora Borealis effect from Frequency. Okay. All right. See, that's what I was thinking. Cryo prison from Demolition Man. Okay. Yep. Yep. Literally and figuratively. Um, and then the next one up is the escape hatch from Secret Avengers. I think the escape hatch is cooler. I liked seeing the development of the escape hatch. But this is also the point where we start to get to Kenneth's boat, Doctor Doom's time platform, the time regressor. Yeah, so I think this goes between the escape hatch and the cryo prison for me. So that's a new number 13, Lucky 13. Subspace inversion. There's a lot in this episode. They're just like, you got to take our word for it. Now it's like, let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes on that techno babble. The funny thing is, like, the Atavachron is like gonna be the I don't think anything we watch in Star Trek month is the Atavachron, and it's like this. The techno babble is like, look at this CD, isn't it shiny? You know? Yeah. What if it was just CDs and you put like like Dark Side of the Moon in there, or like What's the Story, Morning Glory, or like the Bodyguard soundtrack. It sure does. And it's all here on 4 compact discs. What is that? Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I remember that now. Oh, man. All right. Next week is Voyager. This is going to be... So we watched a Season 3 episode of Next Generation. Watched Season 4 episode of DS9. Next week, we're going to Season 5 of Voyager. This is a late Season 5 episode. Relativity is the episode. I don't know that I've seen this one before. And we talked last year that, like, there's a lot of holes in Voyager for me. I did not watch that whole series, and I don't believe I have seen this one before. So... Oh. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yes. Yeah. The first Infinity Stone. This one is about a ship called the Relativity. I don't know. I don't think I've seen it. Maybe he's in it. Is he in it? I hope so. Oh, okay. That's true. Yesterday. Oh, I don't know. You know who is in this episode? I almost don't even want to say. Yeah, it doesn't have Red Foreman in it, but it does have an old favorite of ours in it, for sure. One of our absolute favorites is in this. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. Oh, it's good. I'm excited. Well, folks, thanks for listening. As always, remember to subscribe to the show on your preferred podcast app. Whatever that may be. Rate the show if you can. Leave us comments if you must. Drop us a line at OhBoyQLPod at gmail.com. And don't forget, we've got social media pages. Follow OhBoyPod on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads for links to episodes and sometimes bonus content. It reminds me, I gotta put up. I have a nice picture of my my shelf up there with The Time Guardian sitting proudly between the films Time Crimes and Titanic. Where it belongs. Oh, man. Oh, man. Maybe she did and she's done. I hope not. Oh, God, I hope not. If that's what the Time Guardian did, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Ah, oh, jeez. Just screwing the pooch left and right. Well, folks, if you're still listening, thanks. Until next time, I'm Brian, and we'll see you in the future. Oh, that is unusual. Right, right. She usually emails while we're still recording the episode. Yeah. Oh, wow.